Hello, and I apologise for the dodgy lighting, but I wanted to film by the Christmas tree, so this is a price that we have to pay. But anyway, let's move on. So I did a video about my top 10 favourite books that I read in 2015, and this is the video about the top 10 movies that were my favourite from 2015. And I'm going to be talking about movies that came out in the cinema in 2015, because the total number of movies that I watched in 2015 was about 200, so I could never whittle that down to a top 10 of all the ones I watched in 2015, so I'm just going to do it from ones I saw at the cinema. And I think I saw, I saw 37 movies at the cinema this year, which sounds like a lot. It is quite a lot, but I want to go into film, so that's my excuse. So the first one I want to talk about that I loved in 2015 was Paper Towns. I just thought it was really good. It was really good adaptation. Obviously it had its faults, every movie does, but I thought, you know, all in all it was a pretty solid adaptation with really good performances, and I loved the way it was shot, especially that scene with Carl like hanging out the window and the wind and the music. It was just, that was beautiful, and I was kind of in the cinema like, oh, because I saw it as well on the Sky super screen at the O2, which is genuinely massive. So her head was massive and her hair was blowing everywhere, and I could hear the music like really loud, and I was just like, I am at one with the film. The next movie of 2015 that I loved was Big Hero 6, and I saw it right at the beginning of 2015, so it feels like 3 years ago, but anyway. So good. I mean, Disney and Marvel, like, what more do you need? It was beautiful, and the animation was stunning, and the plot made me cry, and Baymax is just like one of the best characters to come out of anything ever, and it will make you happy and warm, and I loved it, and I'm gonna stop saying and. The next movie I loved was Kingsman. So good. It's by the director that did Kick-Ass and also X-Men First Class, so very kind of action based but also hilarious. I thought it was really original, like it's not, I don't know, it was like a spy thing, but it was so tongue-in-cheek and kind of took the piss out of itself, and it was just so great, and it will always have me laughing whenever I watch it, and I highly recommend it. It's so good. The next film I loved was Amy, which is a documentary about the singer-songwriter Amy Winehouse, and yes, this is quite a sad film as she died when she was 27 from kind of drug abuse and alcohol, which is obviously a shame to have lost such a wonderful person. But the documentary was really great actually, because I loved how it showed not just her, you know, amazing talent, but also just her as a person. There are lots of home videos and home footage that I had never seen before, and it really gave a kind of really interesting picture into kind of the negative effects of Hollywood as well, because it showed all the paparazzi that were following her when she was going through a difficult time, and it just was quite, it was quite hard to watch, but it was a really important film, and I thought it was just really well done and a really good kind of testament to what Amy did and the legacy that she leaves behind. I adore her music, and I really love this film. The next one I loved was Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, and no, I haven't read the book, so I can't say it's loyal or not, I don't really know, but I just loved this movie. I loved the way it was acted, I thought the actors were great, I loved the way it was shot. It kind of looked like a Wes Anderson movie, but it wasn't a Wes Anderson movie, and it was just really fun. I thought, well, not really, it's about a girl with cancer who makes friends but with these two boys, but I thought it was just quite original. I liked it because it didn't have the element of romance, and obviously I love the element of romance in The Fault in Our Stars, but I really like this without it. I really like the kind of focus on the friendship, and I thought it was really cool, and obviously Greg and Earl are kind of filmmakers in it, so I was just kind of, you know, a bit biased here, and I love all their kind of spoof movies that they make. I thought that was actually hilarious, and I have these little postcards with their posters that they make for their films like all up in my room, and I thought it was such a good film. It was so good. The next film I loved was Spectre. Yes, I am a James Bond fan, and some of my friends are a bit like about James Bond, because James Bond is quite can be quite sexist historically, but it's getting better, it's getting a little bit better, but I just loved the way it was shot. Sam Mendes directed it, which you know is going to be good. He directed Skyfall and also American Beauty, and also Daniel Craig is my favourite Bond, and it just had lots of action, and Moriarty was in it. It was really good. The next film I adored was Crimson Peak. I loved this so much, and people didn't like it. I was like, ugh! It's directed by Guillermo del Toro, who did what is the name of that thing that he did? Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, he did Pan's Labyrinth, and so people thought this was going to be really scary, really kind of horror, and it wasn't. It wasn't horror. It was a gothic romance, and it was beautiful, and everyone was like, oh, they should have brought this out at Halloween, not scary. I disagree. I thought it was beautiful. The costumes were amazing, the performances were amazing, the set was just gorgeous, and it was so gothic, and the architecture was amazing, and the like oozing of red from the floor of the house was just so well done. And it does have a ghostly element, so that's where the horror kind of comes in, and there are a few jump scares, but because there aren't many jump scares, they really get you when they like come. So I think people were like, oh, it wasn't scary enough, there weren't enough scares. But I think that it was, you know, a much better film than those horror films that kind of scare you every 2 minutes. I thought it was really well crafted and really, really beautiful. And I also loved the script as well. And the score, everything. It was so good. Please go watch it. We're down to our last two, which were definitely, no, three, which are definitely my top 3 favourite films of the year. And the first one I want to talk about is The Martian. Oh my god. Was so good. Matt Damon was perfect, and I think for someone that leads the film, because obviously he's alone on Mars, if you don't know the plot, he gets left behind on a space mission. The rest of his team goes home because they think that there's a storm and they think that he's died. He has not died, and he's alone for the majority of the film, so you need a really strong performance to make the viewer keep engaged and keep interested. And I was literally on the edge of my seat, and I thought it was so good as well how it wasn't just kind of desperate and like a sad situation. He just treated it with so much humor, and I really loved the movie, and I was honestly like struggling to breathe in like the last act because it was just so tense, and me and my friend were like, ah. That makes my number 2 movie of the year Steve Jobs, which was incredible. Oh my god, I think Michael Fassbender is going to get an Oscar. I really hope so, because he was so good in Steve Jobs, and I love the fact that it was 3 different sections. So it was kind of like a play. They were like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, but it's not obviously described like that. And basically it follows Steve Jobs at 3 different points in his life, at 3 different product launches, and it shows what goes on behind the scenes, and it was amazing. Michael Fassbender was amazing, the script was incredible, it was so kind of fast-paced and just really engaging, really intriguing, directed superbly, and I loved it so much. And my number 1 movie of the year was Inside Out. Oh my god, I loved Inside Out. Oh my gosh, so many happy tears, sad tears, and oh, everything. I can't be able to go get it right now, but I have an Inside Out advent calendar. That's how much I love this movie. I think I relate to this movie so much because if you don't know, I've moved around, as in like moved house, what's it, like 4 times in my life. I'm only 18, that's quite a lot of times to have moved. So this film really hit home because it follows 11-year-old Riley who moves, and basically it's about all the friends that she leaves behind and kind of growing up and all of that stuff, and it follows the 5 emotions in her head. I'm sure you know this was a big movie, and I loved it. I thought it was so funny. It stars Amy Poehler, who I love, and it was just incredible. The animation was beautiful as always. I expected nothing less from Pixar, and I loved it. I was laughing so much. All the jokes were hilarious, on point, and it was so detailed. It was so detailed, like little things, just kind of like getting a song stuck in your head or losing a train of thought. These were all explained, and like, you know, and what goes on in your brain, and it was just so clever. And it was more kind of, I thought it was more of a film for adults rather than children. I thought adults would probably enjoy it more because it's just so intricate and detailed, and it was just so beautiful. And I was reading about it, and apparently there were 178,000 storyboards created before they got the final one for Inside Out. So that just shows how much effort goes into it, and it really shows. It's incredible, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it's amazing, and I love it. So if you haven't seen it, please do yourself a favour and watch it. It will make you feel all the feels, but it's so worth it. And those are the top 10 movies that I loved in 2015, and please tell me what yours were in the comments. I'd love to know, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!